Hey everyone, how are you all doing? Happy New Year. But now is that time of the year, as it always is, for the top 10 figures of the year. And this year, or last year, you know what I'm talking about. You guys know what year I'm talking about. Has been a crazy year for figures. I feel like every year we always have, an amazing amount of figures that come out. There's always great ones, but there's always like a solid 10 that stick out. And it's like, okay, these are the top 10. Period. End of discussion. I don't think I've had a harder time figuring out my top 10 than I have this year. So kudos to all the figure companies that put out absolute banger after banger this year and made this list incredibly hard to make. But I did. I was able to narrow it down to 10 with a little asterisk just because one of them counts. I'm counting it as a set. So without further ado, let's get into what our honorable mentions are. Here are my 11, 12, and 13 for what would have been the 3 runner-ups. And this is after some heavy modifications on Toby, because this figure originally, if you have it, and if you've seen pictures, is not a great figure, but I trimmed down the thigh pieces on it, so it would move a lot smoother. I squeezed the head and heated up and lowered it and all that. And now I personally love this figure. I think it is so awesome. And the addition of having the Toby head from the No Way Home wave itself just elevates that figure so much more. And it's a great figure once you do those mods. And same thing goes for both this Captain America and the Tom Holland Spidey. So I would say this Cap is definitely my number 11. So let's talk about Tom real quick. I did redo his web lines and his spider logo to make it pop more because they were too thick, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. And I love this figure, but it didn't cut it for me, And this Captain America, I absolutely adore this figure. The original version of it was okay. The neck was the biggest issue on that. And then after fixing that, I gave him a Mafex neck and added some wings on here, which I didn't even have to do. I just thought I would try and see how it looked like that. And I gave him Bucky's shield from the Walmart figure. But the figure itself was great, and I did, some light modifications to it, I would say. And it made it an even better figure for me. And now, on to our top 10. Let's do this. Number 10 is going to be the Mafex Robert Pattinson Batman from The Batman. And this figure, I did do some modifications. I actually glued and lowered the mid-torso, or the upper torso, to the mid-torso. And I know that's going to freak a lot of people out, and because I took away some articulation, but it just sat too high, and I personally didn't like it. I gave him more range in his lower torso, so he can actually crunch forward even more as well. I switched out his shoulder pads. I modified some McFarlane ones and made them so they're rubbery and all that. Put a Figuarts Captain Marvel neck peg on the head to make his head sit up a little bit higher to be more accurate as well. And after doing all those mods, I absolutely love the figure. I liked it before, but now I love it. So that's why he is number 10. Number 9 is going to be the Mafex Iron Man, the battle-damaged Iron Man from Endgame. This figure is so nice. I have desperately wanted a good Mark 85 Iron Man, and the Figuarts was okay. The Legends one was decent. The one that came with Thanos was pretty good. But this is perfection. This is amazing. The only thing that I wish they would have done what Figuarts did and actually made the shoulder pad part of the arm itself. That's just my only gripe with it. But it's truly not a big deal. It's just something, you gotta always futz around with. But God, this figure is so beautiful. And the stuff that he comes with is... I wish he would have come with more, but then they wouldn't be able to sell as many figures if he came with everything that you wanted, As for our number 8 spot, we have, because of course she's going to be in the top 10, the McFarlane DC Multiverse Classic Wonder Woman. This figure, obviously, as you know, we've been waiting for this for so long, and it came out beautifully. I absolutely adore this figure. I tried to modify the neck and made it higher and all that stuff, and then it just didn't really work out as well as I wanted, so she just kind of is what she is now. And the neck height truly doesn't bother me. I did modify her torso, so actually she can crunch a lot farther too, which is really good. But this figure is so nice. We have been, as I said, wanting this for so long, and she truly did not disappoint, at least in my opinion. And then as for our number 7 spot, we have the Marvel Legends Spider-Man No Way Home Deluxe Green Goblin. This figure is just, I mean, if you watch the review, you know, I love this figure. He's so nice. And the only gripe that I had with the figure was the fact that he didn't have any boot swivel or ankle swivel or anything like that. And if he had had that, he would have been probably in my top 3 or at least top 5. But I actually did go ahead and give him an ankle swivel on here. It actually was not too terribly hard to do either. And I'm really happy with how that turned out. But this figure is just, he's a beautiful counterpart to Tom Holland's Spider-Man, to Tobey's Spider-Man, to Andrew's. Like, he just works so well with all 3 of them, I feel like. And after adding the ankle mods that I did, he fits on the glider so much better, and you can get him into a lot more dynamic poses. I still want to upgrade his torso articulation and carve out a trench in there just to give him that little bit of extra movement. But as is, the Willem Dafoe head sculpt, everything that he comes with, all of it is just beautiful. And that is why he is my number 7. And as for my number 6 spot, this one's kind of a cheating spot because I'm saying the entire line of G.I. Joe, and I think I did this last year too, is just G.I. Joe, the classified line is absolutely killing it, and this Hawk is beautiful. He is so nice. His articulation scheme, obviously, I do wish that his torso was a little bit better. He, for whatever reason, doesn't have much range in the mid-torso, even though they gave him that cut. I wish they would have just got an ab crunch, but I get why they didn't for the sake of the sculpt. This figure is so good. Grunt, honestly, you could interchange him and make Grunt the my number 6 spot here. But this Hawk is so cool. He is absolutely one of my favorite Joes of all time, and clearly one of my favorite figures of the year. And now on to our top 5. And here at my number 5 spot, we have the Marvel Legends Spider-Man No Way Home 3-pack Andrew, which you can also count the single release from Amazing Spider-Man 2, quote-unquote, technically, you know, with the Andrew Garfield head. Because this figure is just absolutely, no pun intended, of course, as always, amazing. Especially after doing the neck mod, I shortened it to actually make him proportionate, and it looks a lot better, in my opinion. I feel like it looks a lot more like Andrew's body. I know a lot of people did also modify the shoulders to make them sit up a little bit higher, too, and that probably helped a lot as well, but I personally didn't feel the need to after doing the neck mod. This figure, he's beautiful, has wonderful articulation, and to me, personally, I think this blows the Figuarts out of the water, and that's why he's my number 5. And as for my number 4 spot, it's the Limb Toys, The Last of Us, Joel and Ellie. I mean, come on. I mean, I gushed about these in the review. Look at the faces on them alone. And this is what I was saying that with the little asterisk earlier, because I'm counting them as the same spot, because while technically you can have Joel and Ellie separate, for the first game anyway, it's Joel and Ellie, period. The amount of accessories that they come with alone makes them amazing. The body types that they have these two on, the paint, the head sculpts, the soft goods, all of it, just absolutely mind-blowingly beautiful. So they are my number 4. And then as for my number 3 spot, it had to be, you knew this Black Widow was going to be on here. I mean, come on. We finally got a fully articulated female figure from Marvel Legends. So, I mean, come on. This Black Widow had to be on there. This is the perfect Black Widow. The only thing that I did to modify it in any sort of way is I trimmed off like one of the pieces of hair that was sticking out, and then moved this hair over here to have sort of a more tame look for this head sculpt, because I have 3. Yes, I have 3. I bought 3 of this figure. So, because it was just so good, and this body could be used for so many different things. So this figure absolutely deserves to be in the top 3 of the year. And I know she should be on a lot of people's... She should be the number 1 Marvel Legends of the year for everybody, because she technically is the number 1 Marvel Legend for the year, even though she is number 3 as a whole. And then as for my number 2, I know this is going to surprise some people that he's not number 1, but the Mafex Nightwing from Hush. I cannot get enough of this figure. I love it. I modified the neck to make it sit a little bit lower too, because his head sat too high. I also, obviously, I repainted the entire head. I made his skin tone a lot darker because it was too pale, especially for, you know, modern Nightwing. Now I made the mask black. I actually hit the entire body with a matte coat as well, just to bring the shine just down a little bit, because I feel like in photos it sometimes doesn't come off as appealing as it should. And I feel like it toned the blue down a little bit too, and I actually really like how much that pops now. But this figure is just so nice. He comes with a lot of great accessories. I would have loved a smiling head. I feel like if he had looked like this, honestly, like with this darker complexion, and if he had, because I mean, the blue mask doesn't bother me. I like the blue mask. I think it's fine. But I think it would have looked better had they have done a black outline around it instead. But I just decided with this one, you know, I got 2 copies of him. I was like, let's go for it. Let's try and see what I can do with it. And I couldn't be happier with how it turned out, personally. But if he had come with like a smiling head, you know, just to give us a little bit more of that jovial Dick Grayson, I think he probably would have been number 1 for me. But as it stands, he's number 2. And then clearly, because he's been sitting here this whole video, the number 1 is without question the SH Figuarts Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. I have honestly not been able to put this figure down since I first got him. He is just so good. I wish that I would have reviewed him. I don't know why I didn't. I think I just had so much coming out at that around that time that he just ended up falling through the cracks. And I'm sad that I didn't get to review him, but now we get to talk about him as the figure of the year because he is undoubtedly the figure of the year. The Tobey Maguire head sculpts that he comes with are really nice. I do like those, but this head sculpt looks really good. The colors on this pop so well. The spider logo looks great. The only issue, literally the only issue that I have with this figure is the elbow joints, because I don't know why they decided to make them blue when they could have made them red. I get, you know, the inside of the arm is blue, but if you look where the line is and where the elbow joint is, these just should have been red. So those kind of look a little ugly, but other than that, this figure is about as close as we're going to get to a perfect Tobey Maguire Spider-Man figure. And obviously, you know, for nostalgia purposes, I feel like this also definitely popped its way up to the top. Because, I mean, one of my first ever Marvel figures was this guy. So, I mean, you know, look at how far we've come in terms of action figures. This is still a great figure, but this SH Figuarts Tobey is, without question, the number 1 figure of the year. So, yeah, that's going to do it for me. And let's see what this new year brings figure-wise, because I already got a couple figures that I got to review, and we're off to a pretty damn good start. So stay tuned for that, and I will catch you all in the next one. See ya.